What is the strangest thing you've ever seen during a horse race?
Geez, there's a couple times in Sarnia the geese crossing the track. It was, near danger and pretty wild. But yeah, I'd say that's probably my most crazy event that I was involved in. I've seen some others, but the geese are pretty scary.
Probably, it's not one. It's a lot of times we get animals like coming on the track, and we have to do a little, dodging and diving out there. So yeah, probably. I remember one night here a skunk ran in front of us, which was not fun. We were all a little bit nervous of getting sprayed, I think. But yeah, probably that.
Up in Hanover, there was some rabbits running across the track, and they all survived, but they ran right in front of us as we were coming to the half one night. So maybe that would be the strangest, I guess. I don't know.
Strangest thing I ever saw, I guess, myself, was I was in front one night in Pompano Park in Florida, coming to the quarter pole, and there was a fox in the infield, and he ran out, and he ran right under my horse. My horse jumped over top him. It was a pacer, hobbles on, and he came down pacing and carried on the race. But I couldn't figure out what it was until I went in and watched the replay, and it was a fox.
Well, one of the strangest things is animals coming across the track. Those are pretty strange things. You don't really get those very often, but they're a little dangerous, but they're strange too.
Probably once in Three Rivers, the water truck went on too soon on the track and followed the horses around.
Well, there's been a few things, Rock and Roll Heaven one time was at the half. It's just what comes to mind right away for me. I think I was in the race, and he just made a right-hand turn right at the half. We were only half in 53 or 54, and that was pretty strange.
Seeing the dead heat in the Hamiltonian was pretty exciting. I guess that was a strange moment, and it happened in a race-off, so that was a pretty exciting moment.
One of the strangest things that I can think of would be I was watching a race in Rideau Carleton one time a couple of years ago, and a guy went from about sitting in the 4-hole or 3-hole, and somehow he went up the passing lane the first time around and ended up on top. And they left him for seconds, so I don't know how that happened, but it happened anyway.
I was racing in Saskatchewan in the late 80s. I seen a guy named Ricky Martin. He dropped his whip. We were racing on a half-mile track. And he dropped his whip in the first turn, and coming through the last turn, he bent back down between the shafts to pick it up again. He actually picked it up. He was sitting about third, and he snapped it up off the racetrack, doing a backwards bend, picked it up, and started going to work on his horse again. He ended up winning the race. It was the most comical thing I ever seen.
One time, myself, I was driving, and I went to hit my horse, and I caught the guy next to me his whip and pulled it right out of his hand, so I had 2 whips to finish the race with, so that was kind of funny.
The strangest thing I've ever seen is probably what happened to me. I think it was Paul MacDonald said it. Also, I lost my helmet in Flamborough driving Forest Trillium, and that was years and years ago. But that was very strange.
Saw a guy's helmet fall off twice. Yeah, it was in Montreal, and it was like the coldest day in the universe. The driver's name was Gilles Plourde, and I have no idea why he didn't do his chin strap up. But they were heading down the backstretch, and it's like my second year driving, and I was sitting like 6th. And I saw something come off, and I looked beside me, and I started laughing. It was really cold. He must have been in a bad shape by the time he got to the wire.
Well, one time back a few years ago, Brent Davies was driving a horse, and I was following Ross Curran, and he took his foot out of the stirrup, and he pushed Brent Davies' cart up against the hub rail. I often remember that. That was the funniest thing I ever seen. That was back in the Greenwood days. That was just a kind of a joke he was playing on him.
The strangest thing was the boy McCarthy. I saw a video of an Australian race just a month or so ago where he got jostling with the driver alongside of him, and he got dislodged partially from his race bike and was lying with his head and shoulders on one race bike and his feet and his legs on his own race bike. And he stayed like that for like a quarter mile, and they both pulled the same 2 horses up together, and it was the most hilarious thing you could ever see.
The strangest thing I'd have to say is when me, my dad, and my brother went down in a 7-horse field. It was kind of unbelievable, and that was probably the weirdest thing, just because all 3 of us went down in the same race.
Actually, in my first drive in Montreal, a guy beside me was an amateur race, got thrown off, leaving the gate, and he was getting dragged so fast that I had to go to the whip to clear him.
I saw a guy one time, a long time ago, driving a horse in Hanover, and he turned around to see what was behind him, and he dropped the lines and fell off the bike. That was probably the strangest.
I'd actually have to say today where the horse reared up the check broke and the bridle fell right off. And luckily the driver jumped off and the horse took off. So I'd say just today the qualifiers.
I'm going to have to say a horse's overcheck being caught on the gate. And one time or another, a couple times I guess, the gate is actually called a recall and the horse got unstuck by a person getting in there. Another time the gate didn't call a recall and just took off with the horse attached to it and ended up just breaking the overcheck. But I mean, it was, you can think it's a nylon overcheck and it got caught. It was a bar bit actually, got caught and broke the bar bit and ripped the nylon right apart, which takes some force.
I'm guessing that Flamborough, the starting gate, slid sideways and actually did a donut as they were going into the first turn. It was horrific to see. And fortunately, no one got seriously hurt. I think Roger Mayock got a little bit hurt, but that was one of the scariest things and just, you know, surreal things I've ever seen.
My friend Kirby McGinnis just sent me a video of the starting gate at Flamborough Downs. I guess it was in the 80s or 70s or something. The gate just spun out and went right into the field of horses.
The strangest thing that comes to mind was a video I saw of a race in, I believe it was Indiana, where the horse got loose and jumped over the fence and got into the grandstand and was climbing over top of people, over top of the stands and stairs. It was quite a wild affair.
It's also the strangest and one of the scariest is when the lights go out. When the lights go out, I mean, every horse doesn't know what to do. Some of them respond differently than others. Some will just stop on a dime. And I mean, that's the scariest and strangest.
One night I was driving, when I was first couple years, I was driving horses down at PEI, and we were going to 3/4 pole, and the lights shut off. There was a electrical malfunction, and the lights went dark, and it was really, really freaky because it just went black, and there happened to be a white horse in the race, and that's all you could see. It was really, really weird.
I've seen a lot of horses go the wrong way of the track when they're in an accident, and it gets quite scary. That's strange. I didn't like that.
Probably one of those times when a horse gets loose, and I think Jerry Belanger one time at Georgian, there was a loose horse, and he steered his with one hand and grabbed the other horse by the lines just to corral him. That's pretty cool. I mean, it takes a lot of balls and a lot of guts to do something like that, and talent. But I've seen that happen a couple times, and that's got to be the strangest thing I've seen.
I guess a few years ago, a line broke going into the first turn. I think it was at Greenwood. It was Garth Gordon driving, and he leaped from the sulky up onto the horse's back and pulled it up.
Garth Gordon jumping on the back of a horse was different. I think that was one of the strangest things.
Well, I've seen a lot of strange things, but one of the strangest was when a line broke up near the horse's head, and I seen a guy climb up the bike, jump on the back of a horse, and then grab the line and steer him to stop him. That was pretty amazing.
Well, when I was a kid here at Western Fair, I saw a horse, and I don't know if a line broke or the bit broke, but Mark Williams was driving the horse, and he leaped up on its back, and he got a hold of whatever was left and slowed the horse down, and you know, that was a young Mark Williams, but he could probably still do it.
Well, I've seen, actually it just happened the other day, I seen a loose horse out here yesterday, and it was loose from the race, and a guy jumped on the bike to capture his horse and climbed up and got him stopped somehow. I don't know, it was pretty crazy to see.
Oh, there was a pretty strange thing here yesterday. A guy jumped on a horse's back to catch a loose one. that was a little strange, but you know, you got geese coming across the track and stuff like that. But you know, you just go out and see what happens.